Welcome to my domain, Mortals and Immortals. It is I, Luke. Thank you for coming to the video and let's enjoy the show. Okay, so there's Yu-Gi-Oh involving Genshin. What? Specifically, Yu-Gi-Oh Bridge. Yu-Gi-Oh Bridge is in Genshin. In Genshin drama, might I add. So, a very well-known Yu-Gi-Oh content creator, LittleKuriboh or Martin, is involved in Genshin drama and is being a piece of shit. Uh, there's just issues like the fact that someone who has history of being harassed, and even to the point where it deteriorated his health, to fucking downplay and gaslight people, especially the new voice actor for Kinich, and to say that, hey, you're not actually being bullied. We're just calling you out for being a piece of shit, even though you're not actually a piece of shit. It's just disheartening. I do want to start off by mentioning this very old tweet, just like a little less than 2 years ago, because I want to emphasize how little poorly this aged because of what's going on now. LittleKuriboh says, Yu-Gi-Oh appeals to the deeply intimate and shared human desire to secretly have a cooler version of ourselves, voiced by Dan Green, that we could turn into whether someone bullies us. Yeah, because here's the thing. A lot of Yu-Gi-Oh fans have history of being bullied. And sometimes we're getting in a position where like we wish we had someone who can stand up for us. Basically, we wish we could be the confident version of Yami. Well, Yami is the confident version. We wish we could be like Yami and basically not let the bullies get to us. And the fact that, and it's not about having a sexy voice and being a sexy alternate version of ourselves. It's about having the confidence to not have to deal with these bullies and not let them get to you and stand up to them. That's the big point of that. And what's going on now, it is even more aggravating because you are involved in bullying. And fun fact, what would happen if your fan base that is filled with people who has history of being bullied, seeing that you are also being a fucking bully, who focuses in a franchise that has everything to do about friendship and kindness and having self-confidence? How are people going to feel? And I want to mention this because it's a little ironic. This is from like August 5, 2022, so a little less than 3 years ago. So, if you get cast in Genshin Impact, you are automatically upgraded from voice actor to Genshin influencer. Okay, I'm gonna say this. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I feel like this is probably a bit accurate. Not all Genshin voice actors are obligated to be Genshin influencers. Okay, yes, there are plenty of voice actors that are heavily invested in Genshin itself because that's how they engage with the fans. They want to engage in the content that they actually voiced in. There's nothing wrong with that. But not all voice actors who voiced in Genshin Impact should be all of a sudden Genshin influencers. That's not how it works. There are some people who will say like, hey, I voiced this, but most of do is just go to panels and maybe go into some interviews, but that's it. They still focus on other jobs they have. They still focus on other aspects of what their job brought the fans into. You're not gonna mention Capitano's VA being a Genshin influencer because from I've seen, he's just someone that will go to panels or sell prints and stuff like that. But he's not just Capitano's VAs. He's still Gundam VA. He's still VAs from other games. So what, is he a Danganronpa influencer? Yes, voice actors do have a sort of influence going on. And here's the thing, if you act unprofessionally and bully other people, that will break your fucking career. What do you think is happening to fucking Karina? What do you think is happening to Kaylee or Shara or any of the voice actors that are engaged in bullying Jacob? Because here's the thing: if you promote that you are a voice actor and yet you engage in such disgusting behavior on your feed, the same feed that you mentioned that you are a voice actor, especially from that specific franchise, you're making not only yourself look bad, you're making your community look bad, and you're making the company look bad. Look, there's a lot of reasons to dunk on Hoyoverse, but ask your employer, you should not be giving Hoyoverse such a shitty reputation because of your fucking immaturity. That is the one thing Hoyoverse is not fucking involved in. And LittleKuriboh, you are not involved in Genshin. Yes, you have a spouse that's involved in SAG-AFTRA. And if you are mad that other people are trying to just take anything for work in a dog-eat-dog world, because we live in a fucking capitalistic society, many countries do, it's just that the US is severely worse, then take it up with the ones who are actually at problem. Look, hypothetically, let's just say in your perspective that SAG-AFTRA is not the bad guys, because that's what it seems like you're portraying it as. Target Hoyoverse. Have a problem with Hoyoverse. Because by your definition, Hoyoverse is the one who did something wrong, not SAG-AFTRA. Do not get fucking Jacob involved. Jacob has nothing to do with this. And the fact that in this post, and you said, with respect, tensions would decrease significantly if you recognized and spoke publicly on the fact that voice actors aren't quote unquote bullying you. If you truly didn't know about the strike, say so. If you didn't, say so. But voice actors are going to keep being attacked until then. Who's attacking the voice actors? Who's attacking them? Alright, SAG-AFTRA! If you actually bothered to look up the bullshit that SAG-AFTRA is getting involved and how VAs are trying to convince non-union VAs and trying to push Hoyoverse into a union project, then fun fact, VAs they're only attacking themselves. They're only hurting themselves. Jacob is getting bullied. The fact that you are downplaying that is utterly disgusting. I'm not gonna mention certain things that you were involved in that you were the victim of because ultimately I don't want to get my information wrong and that would just be really dirty. But what would happen if that situation you were the one being turned around to being in the wrong? You would hate that so much. So why the fuck are you not giving that fucking courtesy to the ones who are being attacked? Like, do you know how bad you have to be to have the CN community and the Western community unite together to want the English VAs to be recasted because of immaturity like yours? Look, you may not be getting much flack in the Genshin community, but the Yu-Gi-Oh fandom is watching, and they are fucking pissed. And the fact that you try to go actually to Nathan Oron's VA because Oron said like, hey, I talked to Jacob and he said he had no idea what was going on in the strike and he's from fucking Japan. And you're saying like, oh, I find it really hard to believe that a VA from Houston, Texas. Okay, Houston, Texas. I don't know if he grew up partially in Texas, but currently he lives in Japan. He lives there, and he's from there for the most part. Who is engaged with indie voiceovers, auditioning for project being cast in America, and is following several striking voice actors who have been super vocal about the strike and not know about the strike. To elaborate, Jacob. Okay. Let me stop you right there. Save us all some precious time. If what you're suggesting, yes, I'm making a reference to the song. Look, if you are what suggesting is that Jacob should stick to not working in America because he's from a different country or something like that, that is kind of shitty of you. That is kind of fucking shitty. And look, from what we've seen, okay, I'm getting mixed messages whether John is or isn't a union worker. But considering what Joe Sija's video pulled out, saying that there was no actual need for anyone to have a strike against Hoyoverse, with Genshin specifically, like, it's just work refusal. Like, Joe Sija literally said it's just work refusal. They're saying this is not about the fucking strike. SAG-AFTRA is trying to push Hoyoverse into being a union job, a union project. What's gonna happen to the non-union VAs? What, are they gonna have to be forced into joining or leave? Excuse me? You know what? I'm going to put the video of Joe Sija down in the link. I will give a warning that it is vague in a lot of details because it's a bunch of "it's depends." And I get where Joe Sija is coming from, but with situations like this, you cannot just be saying "it depends." But there are some key informations that I feel like it opens up a lot of things. And also, I'm gonna put some links down that also kind of explains the whole situation in SAG-AFTRA and the VAs. I'm gonna put some links down below because they could explain this a lot better than I ever could. But it's equally fucking aggravating. And look, and if it's ultimately work refusal, then at this point forward, look, Hoyoverse has been relatively kind enough to not fire people on that fucking basis. You know why so many of us have been so supportive of the strike? Because we all thought it was all for AI protections. But it wasn't even about that at this point. And anyone who keeps mentioning that, you are fucking idiotic. It's not about that anymore. It is literally about forcing Hoyoverse to be the union project. And I'm sorry for like screaming, but I'm so fucking angry about this bullshit. And okay, this is not from LittleKuriboh, but it is about Kaylee Mills. I believe she's the VA for coaching. I could be completely wrong. Editor Luke, correct me. Okay, so this is what Kaylee is responding to. According to voice actor Nathan Noakes, fellow VA, Jacob Takanashi, who is Japan-based VA, had no knowledge of the strike of the circumstances of which the role being recasted. That's actually kind of diabolical. If you need the money, at least take the role uncredited. This just comes off as an easy grab for clout. It's not a good look. Okay, very few people will ever take a job uncredited due for a variety of reasons. But especially if you are a small VA who hasn't had that many roles or have only very few roles, jobs like Hoyoverse can help you elevate your career. And you're saying that you should take the job uncredited? Jacob, from what I've seen, he does not have many roles, and if they are, they're not something that stands out. And honestly, I think it's really cool for Genshin to let some new voice actors who are just starting off in a career or not very into the career having a chance to have a voice acting career. I think that's very fucking cool. And you're suggesting you should take the job uncredited? That is the most brain dead take I've ever fucking heard. Oh yeah, I mentioned with Nathan's VA. I mean Nathan as Odoron's VA. LittleKuriboh's like, respectfully, dude, refer to all these Twitter discourse the way you have downplayed the actions of a scab and then coming into a thread up and playing it off like that? What exactly is this meant to look like to people? Oh, okay, Nathan. Okay. If you don't know what a scab is, it's basically anyone who's working during a strike or anyone who takes a job from someone who is striking. So that's why Jacob is considered a quote unquote a scab by the voice acting community, right? The voice actors. Because he took a job from someone who is not doing their job. But if you look back to Joe Sija's video, it's work refusal. It's not a strike. It's a work refusal. And the fact that he has not voiced in like 6 months, honestly, that is a lot more leeway than he honestly deserves if this is not about Hoyoverse. Look, if it's Hoyoverse refusing to take AI protection, then yeah, I would understand the outrage more. But the fact that you are refusing to take a job, even though Hoyoverse is literally has AI protections already in the contract. If you're not gonna work, you're gonna get fired. That's unfortunately how it is. And in some cases, you want to keep that job, but you don't want to work for it. That is pretty shitty. And if we're gonna call someone a scab, what about people like Karina, who is Paimon's VA? I feel like if Karina did actually go on strike, I feel like that would actually put a lot more pressure onto Hoyoverse. So I feel like we kind of missed that opportunity because Paimon's gonna be especially. She's one of the most prominent characters in Genshin, and she's not voicing. Look, I'm not saying you should attack VAs for not voice acting. There's a lot more nuances to it that I don't 100% understand myself, but I'm just kind of taking Josie just based on the wording he is doing. I could give a benefit of doubt that many VAs do not actually know what's going on because they themselves were lied to. But at this point forward, I feel like VAs could either take a silent stance, which to be fair, it's probably for the best, or just speak on their perspective about the strike and stuff like that. Specifically, their perspective of why they're striking. Maybe I don't fucking know. But at this point forward, just being silent because anything is better than being a fucking bitch, being a fucking asshole, and being cruel to someone is not okay. I think that is definitely for the best. I don't think any of the VAs who are not doing their job, I don't think they're particularly bad people. It casts more disdain onto people who are actively being hypocritical. And this is another tweet. Well, Blue Sky thing, it looks like, yeah, Blue Sky. It looks like somebody was like responding on behalf of LittleKuriboh, like, I support you, sorry for the comments are nasty. And then someone says, you get dunked on Twitter, so you run over here for your echo chamber? Do you have direct evidence that Nathan is lying? Nothing that would satisfy you. How do you know that? You would make yourself look much better if you presented evidence. Not my evidence to present, smiley face. Look, if you're gonna make people have reveal evidence for their take, you should return that energy. You cannot be shitting on someone that like, hey, where's the evidence saying that? What's the evidence of you saying this? But and someone's like saying, hey, what's your evidence for disproving that? And you're just like, well, it's not my job to inform you. Nuh-uh. That's not how it works, unfortunately. That is not how it works. And I might be fucking sensitive, but I feel like the smiley face in the end just comes off as so fucking passive aggressive. So there's that. I'm also looking to see if I have anything else that I should talk about. Oh yeah, I feel like this is also kind of like a connection to saying that stop claiming that people are bullying you tweet that I mentioned earlier. And this is from Blue Sky. Jacob has a choice. The Genshin fandom is trying to turn the narrative to, oh, poor Jacob being bullied by other actors. If he speaks up and explains his actions, a lot of the anger and toxicity stops and people will have better understanding of the situation. I don't know how likely that is though. Okay, I'll play your game, LittleKuriboh. Okay, Jacob is actually being bullied. Okay, I'll play your game. How about the VAs actually explain what's actually going on with SAG-AFTRA? Oh wait, Karina kind of fucking did by calling us fucking morons. That we have no opinion or any say into any of this. And not once did they mention that about AI. I'm gonna try to find the video to that TikTok on Reddit and see if I could get it from there and put it up here.
Here's the thing. If voice actors, both non-union and union, in a video game want a game to go union, the game should go union. Nobody else's opinion matters. That's it. And YouTubers don't know anything. YouTubers don't know anything. They're not voice actors. They've never been in my industry. They don't know what my industry is about. They don't know anything about SAG. They don't know anything about being a non-union actor either. Stop telling me to go to liars. Liars. They are paid to lie to you. Also, I'm sorry. They have more incentive to lie. They have more of an incentive to lie because idiots like you fall for their shit and they get paid for that. Hello? God forbid. I want my industry to actually, like, I don't know, function, and that everybody gets paid and everybody gets, like, health care. Did you know that, like, once things become union, people get paid a lot more? So people are like, oh, but, you know, then some non-union actors will have to join the union. Yeah, they'll be able to, easily, because they'll get paid more. Also, there are options that the union has to help pay for those things. There are options to help people pay for the union dues within SAG, but you don't know that. Oh my God, it's almost like you're not an actor. It's almost like you're not a voice actor. And neither are these YouTubers. But bottom line is that both non-union actors and union actors in a video game want it to go union and have wanted it to go union for a long time. So nobody else's opinion that is super fucking wrong anyway matters. Hope this helps.
And if people are gonna mention AI, it's already kind of debunked so many times at this point. And I'm not gonna refer back to Joseja's because I don't remember a lot of things. I will admit I stopped watching like the last few minutes just because I just getting a little frustrated with the amount of vagueness. But if I recall, he didn't mention anything about AI on that video. So there's that. And if there is mention of AI, Hoyoverse already has AI protection just because it's a Chinese company and China's like, hey, you cannot fucking use the AI unless you have explicit consent from the voice actor. Explicit consent. So, why should Jacob have to speak up about why should he justify whether or not he is or isn't getting bullied? Why should he have to explain himself like, hey, I'm being bullied? Or why should he not be deserved to feel hurt? So you're saying that this is still victim blaming, by the way. Saying like, hey, all you being bullied would all be over if you just fucking explained. Jacob has nothing to fucking explain. Especially since the SAG-AFTRA madness is much more messy than any one of us is giving credit for. And with so much lying involved, and so much harassment from the VAs, including you, even though you're not a fucking VA, you're just a fucking guy who makes silly Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged videos. Look, we love your content, LittleKuriboh. We really do. We in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Community love that. We love your Yu-Gi-Oh! Bridge. But it's so fucking disheartening that you yourself is engaging in this bullshit. Okay, and also I want to add this because I think this is the last tweet I have. But yeah, I know fans want all the actors to be friends and love each other and be friends with the fans and be so supportive of one another. But the stakes of the strikes are so high, and Jacob Takanashi's clear indifference is crossing a picket line so damaging to actors' efforts. Emotions are high. Try to understand from the voice actor's perspective that Hoya is looking for actors living outside the US is specifically a method to avoid addressing the reasonable demands of the striking act. And as a result, Jacob is taking a role isn't okay because he's allowed that method to work. So instead of being mad at Hoyoverse based on your logic, you should be mad at Jacob. I cannot help you at this point. It is so. I know I'm being a repetitive bastard, but nothing downplays how shitty this is. Nothing fucking downplays this. And you're gonna make me go to the half-hour mark for this fucking video. I fucking hate that. Editor me is gonna be so fucking mad. But yeah, why are you so adamant into defending these voice actors? How about instead of letting your biasy because you're married to a VA who's also a union worker, how about you let that push aside and be fucking logical? I get that your spouse is a SAG-AFTRA VA. You should, like, I get that you don't want to say anything negative about SAG-AFTRA because SAG-AFTRA is awful from what we see. But it's just best to not just say anything. At the very least, from your logic, you should be attacking Hoyoverse, not the voice actor himself. I'm just saying. But not only you are attacking Jacob, you are victim blaming him and downplaying the bullshit that Jacob is going through. And for the fact that Jacob is trying not to say anything, the only thing I've seen is the fact that he addresses the fact that, hey, stop sending death threats on my behalf. This is not okay. I do not condone this. I feel like he spoke up perfectly about that. And the only thing his quote unquote only mistake is to announce that he's a voice actor. As if people are not going to find that out if they look at the thing. Because in Genshin, there's when you look at the character menu and you look down at the voices, you're gonna see like the birthday, you're gonna see the consolation, you're gonna see a kind of like a bit of a summary. You're gonna see like basically some stuff about it. But one of the first things you're gonna see is who is he voiced by. You're gonna see his name, Jacob. So either he announces that or he's gonna get bombarded either way because the VAs see that or the fans are gonna see it. Look, some fans are upset that Kenichi's VA has been John's been replaced, which that is a fair thing because a lot of people are so attached to the original VA. Because here's the thing, people say like, oh, the original VA just cannot be beat. I feel like if the roles were reversed, if like Jacob was the original voice actor and John is the new VA, people are more likely to like Jacob's voicing. Are more likely to like that. I'm not saying that's 100% of the time, but how often do you see someone preferring the new voice actor over the old one? Probably not that often. And if there has been some cases, I'm glad. I feel like the only time people much prefer the new voice actor is with the Tignati situation, but only because a certain problematic person is no longer voicing behind such a beloved standard character. I love Tignati so much, but that's not about him. That's like old news. So yeah, on behalf of the Genshin community, Jacob, you are doing absolutely brilliant. I started doing the event and I heard your voice. It is gonna take some time for me to get used to, but I think it's gonna be a nice experience. And for John, I'm sorry that you were replaced. I really do hope for better endeavor. But as for LittleKuriboh, please look at what you've done. Please take accountability for your actions because this is just very vile. I don't want to cancel you. Far from it. I really, really love your content. And it'd be really awful that behind such amazing content lays a man who thinks this behavior is absolutely okay. This is straight up middle school bullshit. This is mean girl drama. And I don't want to believe that you are actually a quote unquote mean girl. I want to believe that you are actually a kind person. And I believe that you once were, but this is not it. Please grow from this. That's all I genuinely want. Because we, the Yu-Gi-Oh fans, want to keep supporting you. And we've done our best to keep supporting you. We know you've taken long hiatuses on YouTube and focusing on Patreon and stuff like that, which, okay, that's fine. You do you, boo. Get that bag. In this, especially in this economy, get that bag. But do not shit on us. Do not shit on your fans by this behavior. Do not shit on the VA. On this point forward, just don't get further involved. Because you're only safe because you're not a Genshin creator. That's all I can really say, because that's honestly the truth. You're only safe because you're not a Genshin VA. You're not a Genshin creator. If you were, I could promise you that it's not going to bode well. I'm not. I've seen it. Look, Asian guy streams Braxophone, Bran, Doro, Tecton. Well, Tecton is a drama llama in himself, but that's besides the point. I'm not saying it just to be a piece of shit. I'm not saying this just to make it sound like, oh, you're fine and dandy. I'm not downplaying the fact that you've been death threat in itself, because I've seen that you mentioned that you've been given death threats by the Genshin community, which that is not okay. Obviously, that's not okay. And I hate that it's so fucking normalized. But please just really reflect on your actions. I don't want to dismiss you completely. I don't want to dismiss your content because it is a huge source of comfort. And as someone who's been an avid Yu-Gi-Oh fan for like 15 years already, because of your leather pants, I really don't want, especially my younger self would not want to see that something that brought such immense joy just to be tainted this way. I hope you do better. But yeah, I have to look up what my own outro is because whoopsie. I'm gonna take a nap now. Not really, but you know what I mean. Catch you on the flip side, mortals and immortals, and peace out.